we're going to look at business strategies, but specifically a lot about Porter. Porter has a lot to say about them, and frankly, once you see them, a lot of them make common sense and some of our core processes that we have to look at. I was a little bit surprised. I took a class at MIT, and the class, by the time you're all done, you end up writing a giant paper every single week for the entire course. So it was a little bit intense, and they wanted to use Porter's 5 competitive forces to sit down there and help define how we're about to sit down and deal with artificial intelligence for business strategies. So the 5 competitive forces all of a sudden came back in the aspect of full spotlight because MIT is pushing this as part of their business curriculum, especially for the future with artificial intelligence. So let's take a look at the competitive strategies and the different forces that are out there as well, and how we have strategy development. Porter contends that there's 5 different competitive forces in the environment. Threat of new entrants. Okay, bargaining power of suppliers, bargaining power of buyers, threats of substitute products or services, and rivalry among competitors. You know, this sounds a little bit like Vario. By the time it's all done, you're looking at the value, the rarity, you're looking at all the different aspects of can somebody imitate your product in the organization, except the way this is stated, it just makes a little bit more sense because of the fact you're looking in direct language as to threats of new entrants. Who are they? Yes, and the bargaining power of suppliers. Sometimes suppliers are out there. I mentioned previously, one of my students gave me a call about negotiating a new business strategy for a company. And it worked fabulously because by changing the matrix, by saying, instead of just, this is what we have right now, it says, okay, I want to have a big price deal, but I also want to open up this market over here. And I want us to partner on a couple different areas. And boom, the price drops 60%. The bargaining power, in her case, of the buyer, and then also as a supplier, all of a sudden now, so she's all of a sudden huge in the aspect of using 2 of the Porter's competitive forces for advantage. And by the way, she looked really good to her bosses. You can't blame them for taking a look because all of a sudden now she was capable of negotiating a good contract that was a win for their company massively, opened new markets, and also a win for the other company by reducing their cost of a specific item and also opening new markets for them. Everybody walked away a winner, and they're actually thriving now in that field where before they were just doing okay. Threats of substitute products, what's out there, and the rivalry. Put these in your notes. They're really very positive in the aspect of what you can pay attention to. And then Porter comes up with 4 strategies to use these competitive forces. Cost leadership strategy, keeping cost and prices low for a wide market. Okay, the differentiation strategy of being unique and superior for a wide market. I don't drink alcohol very much, and especially don't drink beer, but once upon a time there was a company out there called Miller Beer. Miller Beer had a reputation for being a Midwestern East Coast product and really for being a cheap beer. That's all it really was. They wanted to brand themselves differently when they expanded to the West Coast. So they came out with a new marketing strategy. The formula for the beer stayed the same. They changed the bottle, they changed the label, they changed their brand, and they said to us, this is Miller, the champagne of bottled beers. And you know what? They jacked the price up by 40%, and it took off. They made a lot more money because they just rebranded themselves because no, it wasn't just a cheap scuzzy beer. It was now the champagne of bottled beers. That actually was their marketing pitch. Except they forgot about being the cheap beer. Okay, so with that, they just rebranded themselves by being different, by saying we're a higher quality. Cost focus strategy, keeping costs and prices low for a narrow margin. You're going to see a lot of the products at Walmart that they sell, they're really a cost-focused strategy because Walmart prides itself on being able to live well at a cheaper price. Well, of course, they're going to deal with products and that they sell that have a cost-focused strategy and then a focused differentiation strategy, offering unique and superior value for a very narrow market. A Rolls-Royce car is not something that everybody in the United States really wants to have because of the fact it costs a massive amount of money, and most people will never be able to afford one, and they're not going to be advertising on every single street corner. They're not competing with Nissan. They're not competing with Chevy. They're not competing to some extent, but they're looking on the aspect of who are they competing with. They're competing for that narrow 1% or narrow 0.5% of the wealthiest in the world because of the fact that they want to have a unique and superior value for a teeny tiny market, and they're happy to be there. Different kinds of strategies. So to develop your strategy, what does the playing field look like now? What's the competition been up to? Have you been taking a peek? Okay, what have you been up to? Are you doing anything different? Okay, do you have anything? Did you conduct a SWOT analysis? Yes, all this stuff is now moving forward. We're talking about strategy development. What's around the corner? Are you forecasting what you think the world is going to be like a year from now? And what are your operational plans to meet that world? What is your strategic plan that's looking out 3 years? And then how are you sitting there bringing it back down to what you're making today? What's your winning move? It's all about strategy development. Let's look at the different aspects of it and how to get things done, the people, strategy, as well as the operations. Okay, so you want to have the high-level corporate business-level strategies. They flow down to the functional strategy. You have your strategic plan coming down to your tactical plan, coming down to your operational plan, and you have a whole thing of goal cascading. Big picture, middle picture, what's happening today, picture, it's all cascading for your product development, your service development. You're looking at all that. You're going to align those with the organizational hierarchy and make sure your strategy fits corporate level, business level, and also functional level, and pay attention to what's out there. Corporate strategy, use the technology and innovation, and then in-store online division have maybe 2 different branches, maybe 3 or maybe 4. Here's an example of Kroger. Then the operations, the marketing and information technology, it's all out there. We talk about the store division. They've gone from paper coupons to on the phone coupons. They have memberships. They have all kinds of different methodologies. They have really a lot of different things happening for the customers coming in and to draw them in on a regular basis. And they change their strategy on a regular basis. The 3 core processes: people, strategy, operations. The first core process is consider the benefit you in the future. The second one is you need to consider how success will be accomplished. And the third, you need to consider what path will be followed. 3 different processes that you have overall. Can you execute all 3 of them? You need to keep your eyes on all 3. Taking your eyes off, you might miss something. So pay attention constantly. Business is really keeping your head on a swivel, looking over here, making certain that your competition, that you know what is coming up if you possibly can, and what other people are doing that will help you on all your different aspects of it. Look on the different roadblocks that are out there. I have to tell you, in business, there is nothing that ever goes smoothly for a long period of time. You will always have something dropping in your lap, typically Monday morning at 7:32 a.m. and all of a sudden you pull into the parking lot and the whole world's exploding around you, and you wanted to have a nice calm morning when you want to read the Wall Street Journal and drink your coffee. But all of a sudden, no, I can't do that, I have to do this. You will always have a roadblock. You'll always have to sit down, and some barrier is going to be there. And that's where your management skills, your ability, your knowledge, and all those are part of that. Overcoming roadblocks, sometimes internally from the C-suite. Well, I don't like your plan. It doesn't sound real good to me. You need to sit down and go fix that again. Back to the drawing board. I've been at the drawing board. You need to get off. You don't say that. Okay, but time you're all done overcoming roadblocks down the hierarchy. You got things above you. You got things below you. You got problems coming in from the outside. Pay attention. This is your job. You get to execute the roadblocks and get them out of the way. Maintain control. Engage people. Keep it simple. Sometimes solving a problem isn't very complex. Sometimes you rely on people. Let me give you a word of advice. I love technology. I tend to use a ton of technology. At the end of the day, I trust people more than I trust technology. If I have a crisis, I turn to people, and I don't trust the technology. I will always do that because people will come through if you treat them well on a regular basis. Stay focused. Keep moving. Make certain you're paying attention to the 5 really competitive forces: the newness, suppliers, buyers, substitute rivalries. Look for cost leadership differentiation. Make certain that the whole aspect of the porter and the core processes, keep them in your notes, keep them in your head, and you may want to keep this PowerPoint for future reference when you want to sit down and focus in as to what your overall strategies will be. The porter aspect will be really beneficial if you ever rise to that C-suite especially and start doing corporate-wide business strategies. Take care.